Well, hello and welcome to PM Express. And indeed, today is one of those shows that you just don't want to even touch the remote or anything, particularly if you're in Accra. However, wherever you are, the story seems to be the same around all the big metropolis, so you probably still want to stay tuned. What are we talking about? We're talking about Mission Impossible. What's Mission Impossible? Cleaning up of Accra. Now, when I was sending out messages today, if you are fortunate to be on my WhatsApp broadcast list, I said, the city of Accra is clean. It's just that the people in it are very dirty. The city's got nothing to do with the city. The cities are there, the roads are there, they are paved, but it's you and I walking on it are just habitual dirty people. And we love freedom and we love to be dirty. And we've lived it year in, year out, and you dare not change us. Because if you tell us not to be dirty, we won't vote for you. If you tell us not to live by the railway lines, we won't vote for you. And the story seems to be the same. And there's the intro party squabbles where one person is elected to say, yeah, you go and get a place cleaned up. As soon as the women and the youth kick against and say, you're not going to get the votes, the same party turns around and says, hey, so what? Motion. More tuition fuel, vote there, and then you have to back off, So how is this new decongestion program going to be sustained? Have we not seen it before? Many have been, and the same thing I've done, and I can show you archives and archives of houses that have been demolished over and over and over. But the truth of the matter is, or the seriousness of the matter is that we have to win, because Accra is the city. It's the heartbeat of the nation, and whatever Accra is what's the representation of the whole nation. Somebody drops a Kotoka, and what he sees is what he assumes that a Dumasan too may be, even though he may not visit. So it's imperative that we keep Accra clean. But it goes bigger than that. We live our lives. As soon as we see a road, we create a market. We don't develop the rural areas, so if you are 16 getting to 20, you need to come to some sort of a city center so that you can make a daily bread. So with all that in tow, how can the mayor cope? People in Adumasa have to come to Accra to find work. People in your villages would have to come to Accra to find work. The city is getting choked. No more housing, people sleep rough. That's the story. So once you kick them off the road, which you should, are they going back to Adumasa where there's no work? It's survival, and man's first instinct is to survive. That's the conversation today. My name is Nana Ansakwa, the fourth chief of the very little republic of Adumasa, and today I am talking to the chief of Accra. Well, not traditional chief, but let me say political chief of Accra, to find out how it is he's going to keep Accra clean. Don't move. Well, Operation Mission Impossible. We need to succeed. How do we do that, and who do we put at the helm of affairs? We have here Mohammed Eche Soa, who is the mayor of Accra. You envy him, and sometimes probably don't envy him. Maybe more don't envy him. A little envy, but more don't envy him. Mr. Mayor, you're welcome.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure. Happy New Year.
Yes, Happy New Year to you too, to find space within your decongestion season to find time to come here. But first of all, today there was a mega announcement. The president eventually announces that Mr. Martin Hamidou is going to be the special prosecutor. Before then, we thought it was going to be Sheshe, as you all call him, or Eric Addison, Philip Addison, Akoto Ampao, all these names were coming up. And then all of a sudden, boom, it's Martin Hamidou. I mean, I don't know, just small comments before we go back to Clean Accra.
Well, I mean, it reinforces the president's character, the president's position on corruption. He is incorruptible. Everybody knows that. And he wants to fight corruption. and he wants people that have the character, that are discipline, and that also knows the process to help him fight the system. I'm not too sure it's political, and I think that is a smart choice, because people from the other political divide who had made a case out of it that the president wants to set up these special prosecutor's office to prosecute political opponents. I'm sure they will have to revise their notes and know that we mean business. And I applaud the president for the decision that he have taken.
I mean, this is clearly a man who's a known NDC man. I mean, you being, from this side of the divide, are you not concerned that, look, the special prosecutor is actually the NDC man?
Well, I think that the president's decision has also shown that he's an all-inclusive person. He has put Ghana first, and it's not about the NDC. If you find somebody of good character in any political party that will be very useful to the nation, the president will do so. And we cannot split this country into NDC and PP. For now, we have one government, one nation.
One government, one nation. I'm sure by now you've all heard, but Martin Amidu, citizen vigilante, is the special prosecutor. Well, has been nominated as the special prosecutor. He's now going to go through vetting and through parliament, and then probably get his vote and then start work. Interesting times ahead. Definitely interesting times ahead. But, Mr. Mayor, it's not been a year yet, have it?
Not at all. It's been about 9 months now.
How has it been?
It's been a challenging effort. You have high expectations. You step into the office with big dreams. Your vision is very clear. You need to walk your talk, but in doing so, you also need to plan and plan very well. The planning and consultation had taken a bit of time, but we've done significantly well, and we're quite hopeful that with the steady progress that we have made, we should be able to make it and change the face of Accra within the next 4 years.
Is the media and the general public aware of your dreams and coming along with you, or you haven't started that collaboration yet?
I have been engaging, but to be honest with you, I'm not too much of a media person. I hardly participate in talk shows and attend to telephone conversation on media space. But I've been trying for some time now. I believe in the principle that I need to let my success tell the story instead of going around to be telling people what I have done. So media personnel that have been following me know the story. And I'm also very much aware the way the media operates in this country. Very partisan. Everything that you do, you want to put it in a very partisan spectacle. I am not like that. I think that we have one government, we have one nation, we are citizens of this country. After election, let's come together and work. When it comes to campaign, then we'll go back and do the campaign. So I do a lot of social media. If you check our Twitter handle, if you check our Facebook, pages, we do a lot more. And we interact more with the general public. But I'm picking up with the media as well.
I'm going to take a quick break, and when I come back, we haven't finished with the media bit. We'll still stay with the media. Don't go. Well, thank you very much for staying. We have the mayor in-house, Mohammed Ajay Sowa, and we are discussing Mission Impossible, cleaning Accra. It has to be mission possible. And the reason why I talked about the media was because, you see, in my intro, I was saying that, look, Accra itself is not dirty. It's the citizenry.
Sure.
We just, I don't know whether we love filth or we just not bothered about filth, And we've done it for so long that if the media don't come in to start this education, you would then have to only use brute force. So that instead of like educating the people out of the filth, it's like basically shooting them out, of the filth. And so I don't know how you're going to do that.
Well, I think that I agree with you that, but to start with, I've also studied the media landscape and knowing how conservative they our media, it's you tried to come in through another means, and fortunately, through the social media handles that I've been engaging, have managed to get into the media, and people are now thinking and positively supporting the cause across board with the decongestion exercise. I mean, many people had been supportive of this particular exercise. The only question that they keep asking is about sustainability, which will come to that.
I'm
but
sure we have many.
Certainly, you have still few elements that feels that, look, we still have to look at the negative side of everything. On Monday, when we started the decongestion, and I let the media to circle, because we have moved the traders and the hawkers on the pedestrian walkway. That very morning, there was a heap of refuse around the new plant station area. So I brought the media just to come and deliberately we didn't pick the heap of refuse there, just to come and show them exactly what happens when people trade on the pedestrian walkway. Heaps of refuse. Today, if you look at the back of Ghanaian Times, they have reported on it as if that is something that it's happening there all the time. So you cannot go and back and forth and be fighting over some of these things. I think that there's a better way that we can also engage and tell people that indeed we are doing well. And some of these things, when they are even doing, they don't even cross-check from you. They don't even write to you. They just take pen and paper and write something. Well, that's their job. They can do whatever they want to do. But I think that the results on the ground in the end will prove them otherwise. When I assumed office, 24th of March, immediately, we came to meet heaps of refuge, illegal dump sites in the whole of Accra. We counted it about 42 of them. We've closed down about 33 of the illegal dump sites in Accra. We don't talk about it, people. Right in front of, right at Okunglo, opposite the Legon campus. That's a plot of land. In fact, we later realized that it belongs to the Legon University camp. So we wrote a letter to them that we are going to evacuate the refuse there. It is your land, you have to protect it. If you don't protect it, we'll issue summons to you to take you to court. We evacuated the refuse and then they fenced it. So we've taken a series of actions on people for them to be alert. As you indicated in your intro, our attitude is a challenge, big challenge to all of us. By evening, between 7 to 11 p.m., walk around the inner city, the central business district, and you see people sweeping all over. But by 2 a.m., people will come from the interland with goods to come and break their bulk goods within Tudu and Cliff, selling tomatoes, pepper, jelly, all kinds of foodstuffs. So we are compelled to come and sweep again by 6 a.m. Even after 6 a.m., people start coming into the city, and then you drink water, sachet water, you empty it, then you throw it onto them. So you see lots of refuse on the streets of Accra. This is as a result of littering. I must admit that there have been instances of where we have not attended to garbage, simply because sometimes we also have capacity, issues of number of trucks that we have. In Accra, we generate over 2,800 tons of waste every day within the central business district.
2,800?
2,800 tons of waste. If you don't collect waste for 2 days, by the third day, you can't step out from your house. In 2015, during the previous administration, they were unable to go and they were unable to collect waste for 5 days. It resulted in a cholera outbreak. Over 20,000 people were affected. 200 people died. So we don't joke with it. We are fully aware that if we are unable to collect the waste within 3 days, you won't be able to step out, and the consequence will not be that. So we have to act in a more responsible manner. We are dead focused on the subject of sanitation and how to deal with it. Now, in a household collection, waste collection, for instance, We have introduced what we call the polluter pay system. The polluter pay system was introduced in September 2015, but it was during the campaign time, so it was relaxed, nobody worked on it. I thought that is a very good policy. I took it up, and then we've zoned Accra into 15 areas and given it out to 12 companies. So if you go to Ayawaso West Suburb, which is East Legon, Jowul, Abelinkwe, is zoned domestic, that's responsible for household waste collection. And the idea is that they collect, you pay, because the polluter have to pay for the waste that you are generating. Similarly, if you go to Ablekuma North, it's Asadu, and Ablekuma North is Dakuma, Official Town, Odoko area. If you go to Dansoman area, which is Ablekuma South, Ablekuma West, it's Liberty West. If you come to some parts of Ablekuma Central, which is the Okanshi, no, the spare parts area, you have MWATs. So the list can go on. The whole of Usu is Jakura. So the list can go on for you to know that this is a strategy that we have. So all these companies are responsible for the household waste collection. But we are fully aware that in some of the areas, especially the low-income areas, the household waste collection there is quite difficult because of the polluter pay system that we have. So we provide central containers to them so that we lift it also occasionally once it's full. And sometimes, because in those low-income areas, they generate a lot of waste, that also is a challenge to us. Now,
before you move on the waste issue, this is from Anis Hafa, because I sent a message out to say, look, the mayor is coming, and he says, does he really believe that the tricycles on our roads and highways are the solution to keep the city clean?
Well, let me explain to you and for you to understand. The tricycles have become part of the waste collecting change, and there are economic and social factors that I can explain indeed for you to understand and appreciate why they are there and why we need to keep them over there. Because admittedly, the waste management companies, the 12 waste management companies that have been given the contract in the whole of Accra, not all of them have enough or adequate capacity to be able to handle the waste in their jurisdiction. So people also rely on the tricycles to collect it. Now, we are supposed to go and dump your waste at Boom. That is the only landfill site we had. In fact, hitherto we have one at Insomnia, which is around in Sawan, and then Boom. But now we have only Boom. The tricycles cannot travel to Boom to go and dump.
But they do. Not your fault, but they do. They're always on the motorway.
No, I'm just making a point. I'm saying they can't because of the distance. So the few who are daring travel on the motorway to go and dump and come. But in city management, that is not the way to go. Even in any city where you manage the waste, you have what we call a transfer station. A transfer station is a withholding facility where after collecting of the waste, you go and dump there, and it's the responsibility of the transfer station to transfer the waste from where it is in the city center to the final disposal site. That makes it easy and shorter for even the trucks that are collecting the waste in the system to have a turnaround time which is very short. At the moment, we have only one transfer station which was commissioned last year by my good self. It's by this private initiative, Zoom Park, and that's where they do. But because we have only one transfer station, they created the illegal dump sites that we have, and you've closed a lot of the illegal dump sites. You need to provide an alternative. An alternative is the transfer station.
Where is it at now?
The transfer station at Achimota. Okay. Achimota, just behind the Shell filling station.
Okay.
You know, but because of the number of the tricycles in the system, they also have to join a long queue before they are able to tip. Somebody, people cannot wait in the queue for like 2-3 hours before they go and tip. So they also find a way, and that's how come some are even daring to travel to Pong on the motor highway. But we are stopping them from traveling that far. It is up to us also to create additional transfer stations within the central business district to be able to collect the waste in real time. So we have engaged Zoom. Zoom Lion had mobile transfer station along tracts, which can take about 40 to 50 tons of waste. You know, have 4 of them. We have a parcel of land just opposite the Kolebu Mochi. So if you go there presently, we have deployed the trucks there, and people come to the tricycles are dumping there for them to go and collect it. By next month, we'll start constructing an additional temporary transfer station there for proper tipping, because it's a new track that we're trying to see its efficiency. So we've tested it for the past 3 weeks and realized that it is efficient. So we're constructing additional transfer station. But I am aware that the Ministry of Sanitation through the World Bank is also going to construct additional transfer station, a bigger one, you know, hopefully by the end of the year or by the beginning of next year.
Which location will that be?
Well, it's going to be spread within the Greater Accra region so that they can be attended to. That is the efficient way, because if you don't create avenue for the trucks to go and dump within real time, we have a problem. Some of the problems that we face, and let me also inform you that at the landfill site, they start working from 8 and close at 5. You cannot imagine. How could you start work at 8 and close at 5? And meanwhile,
you're like bank managers.
Exactly, that's the problem. They are like civil servants. So meanwhile, in the city, you collect the waste in the evening. Sometimes you have to sleep with the waste and go to the landfill site at 8 o'clock to go and dump. Why do you have to drive through the traffic to go and come back? You don't have a special route to go. So you are unable even to go twice, even if you have, you know, a lot of trucks. Efficiency, you know, it's not managed properly in this endeavor, and that's one thing we are looking at. So as for the transfer station, it is very key, it is very important, and we are working hard to make sure that we have the transfer stations, at least 3 within the city, and that can contain all the waste that we generate and be able to dispose it off in real time. That is what we are working on.
Sustainability of decongestion. I mean, I have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of messages. How is he going to sustain it? How is he going to sustain it? How is he going to sustain it? How are you going to sustain decongestion? Messages are saying that, you know, mayors before you did the same, got their bulldozers, cleared it, then they built it back up, cleared it, built it back up. How are you going to make sure that in the next 3 years, it's not going to be a slum again?
Well, well, thank you very much for that question, because I heard it several times, you know. But I think that Ghanaians should be very optimistic in life. As much as I appreciate, of course, as much as I appreciate the fact that we had challenges over the period, it doesn't mean that that is the end. We should throw our hands in despair. And I appreciate the concern, because it's a legitimate question. But I just wanted to put it there that we should be very optimistic and also make suggestions on how it's going to be, we're going to sustain it. But the person who is asking the question should also start with himself, that he has a proper way of disposing his waste.
No, but they're talking about sustain.
I'll come to the bigger picture of how I intend to sustain it. But I want to also make sure that we all get involved and that we are all in the boat. We swim, we sail ashore, or we get drowned together. It is not like I am the mayor, it's my problem, and I carry it on my head. That's why I like your introduction, that you spoke about everybody, but it's a mission possible. I am personally involved, and I am leading the task. The president had made a remark that he hopes that by the end of his tenure, Accra will be the cleanest city. And that's where we should be working towards it. This exercise is long overdue. 4 months ago that I started engaging the market women, I had visited all the markets. I have gone to 31st, Katamanton, Okanshi, Kwasiaja, so you just name it, Malat. I've gone to all the markets to engage the market, not once, not twice. There are instances that they have also come as their leadership for us to understand and appreciate the issues before we take a decision. One of the key issues that came out was that For instance, at Mokola 31st, that a lot of their sisters had stepped out from the market and they are selling on the pedestrian walkway. And they want us to make sure that we will bring them back. If we don't bring them back, a few of them left in the market will also join them. If you get to Tudu, where it has become a bulk breaking point, tomatoes, pepper, I mean, there are a couple of banks there. If you go there in the morning, and the way they handled pepper, you have to be a man. If you have asthma, your asthma will come. Meanwhile, they have a site at Ododa for them to trade. However, they decide to come to the city center and come and do the trading over there. We move them back to the place. What we have launched is more or less like a revolution. We want to create a new order of discipline within our society. A discipline that all of us will witness, that we could see the change in our society. That is what we want to do. So we are not only focusing on traders and hawkers. I personally went round and you could see a lot of shop owners that have also brought their wares onto the pedestrian walkway. They have extended their shop to the pedestrian walkway. They are also part to be blamed. We've moved them inside. And there are instances that they don't even have refuse bins. When they make refuse within their shop, then they place it in front of them. They leave it unattended to. I had closed down shops. On Monday, I closed down about 7 shops. Yesterday, I went round again. I closed down a couple of shops for them to have brought their waste and deposited openly on the pedestrian walkway. These are things that we have to do to ensure. When we close it down, we issue summons to them. You have to wait 24 hours before you go in and make sure that we send you to court. These are the decisions that we are taking. We need to take the hard decisions for people to do. It's about attitudinal change. I mean, if we don't change, we can't change people's attitude with rhetoric.
I've got so many questions for you, but
I'm available for you.
The proverbial human face. The only be obedi. The kids are in school. The husband died. Now you're closing the shop. Show a human face. Have you gotten that yet?
We've not gotten there, but I know we'll get there. So far, I mean, my mandate, because it was, we had engaged them for the past 4 months. It has gotten into their mind, and they know very well that we are coming, because it was very clear. The date was fixed by not only AMA, but by all the market women themselves, that, okay, we should wait after the Christmas. So that's why we sent the information out there that after Christmas, we are starting clearing you. But we know that over a period, you will hear a lot of things. Drama. People will come and cry. People will come and say all kinds of
Have
things.
they threatened you with the naked demonstration yet?
Not yet, but I'm sure all these things will come.
Okay.
Look, there was a point that some of the areas that had literally been turned into a market, but we don't want them to go to the pedestrian walkway. So the previous mayor ruled a red line. Don't cross the red line. So that is understandable. Before we could say Jack, some of them have gone to buy red paint, and they've ruled their own red lines. But they've forgotten that we are also smart. We are coming with yellow paint. So we have come to rule a yellow paint. They say Oko yellow, Oko red, Adi yellow. Within inside.
Now, on Tuesday, I was interviewing Dr. Emmanuel Akwete,
Okay.
And he said that, listen, he thinks that we have wrongly diagnosed the problem of street hawking.
Okay.
That it is our culture. You Accra to Kumasi, they put speed ramps on the road so that we can slow down so women can put their wares on the side of the road. We are people who sell around the street. The markets haven't got that access where I can just drive into, pick up an orange or pick up a chewing gum and drive back out. And so if you send this guy to the market, it means unless Saturday when somebody's going to do a big shop, he doesn't get that every day, give me PK, give me this, give me that. We haven't done that. The guy also needs to survive. And so this brute force where we kick them off It will only be temporary, and then they come back. So he strongly believes that we haven't sat down to analyze why there are so many people on the road, and we are wrongly diagnosing the issue.
I share a different opinion. I think that it's not wrong diagnosis. It's a wrong prescription, rather. We have given a wrong prescription on how we should treat. Look, we have not looked at the other side of traffic. We have not looked at the other side of selling on the streets. When you go to Accra Central and somebody is selling tomatoes right on the floor and sometimes on the ground, have you looked at the impact, the health? These are the places where we go and buy and go and prepare our food that we eat. Have you attempted going to the city center?
You see, that's understandable.
Not even walking, not even driving,
the issue is
walking.
That if you send that lady to the market, there isn't a car that can drive to the market so people go, unless, on the weekends.
And I'm creating access for you. I'm creating access for you. If you go to the city center, I think we've planned through this. Go through Adabaka, Asylum down in the city center. We have marked areas for on-street parking, because we are also fully aware that the Rollins Park is not big enough also to accommodate the volume of traffic. And it's not only the Rollins Park that is, we have the Accra City Park, which is opposite the Ghana House building. SNEET also has a car park for rental also around the National Theatre areas. It appears that we as drivers, we don't want to park at places and walk to where we are going to. Let's drive on your street and you see a lot of cars that have parked on pedestrian walkway. Meanwhile, I am supposed to walk on the pedestrian walkway, and you've come to park your car to block me. You are forcing me to go and walk on the street. If I see your car on the pedestrian walkway, I will tow it. Because having a car doesn't mean that you can park anywhere. Park at the right places, and then you will.
The other thing, the other question, this is from lawyer Martin Pebu. He says, what are his immediate plans for resolving the traffic situation Accra? I'm especially concerned about the Legon-Accra traffic.
Legon-Accra traffic. Well, I think that it's a build-up from the city center, right from the morning, and it flows back to Legon. So once we are able, because if you look at the traffic flow...
Was that under your jurisdiction, though?
Legon is under my jurisdiction. Okay. And I think I'll talk a bit about even my jurisdiction, because a lot of issues happens outside my jurisdiction. It comes in. But if you look at the flow of traffic, by 4 a.m., everybody is trooping to the city center. And by 4 p.m., everybody is moving outside the city center. In many cities, if you look at the road network, it's in the form of a ring. So you have a lot of, exits to move out so easily. Unfortunately, our road ends at the Gulf of Guinea. So it's almost like a semicircle. So you have few exits, and if you look at the ring road, it's where everybody distributes from. So that's where we are. So it appears that the city center, if it had pushed a bit back, to like Legon or somewhere, then you have a ring where you have a lot of exits, So everybody troops in like that and goes by that. That's the city we have to manage about it.
But that's one of the issues that I said. It's not your problem, but it's your problem.
Of course, we have to deal with it.
Because we do. I mean, you look at Oyarifa and all those areas seriously building up. There's no Kolebu there. There's no Bank of Ghana there. There's no SNEET there. I mean, what I mean is there are no big institutions that take like 3,000-4,000 workers and keep them there. So they are all coming to you.
I agree. I think development in this country had not been proportionately handled, because everything is in the city. In fact, anything that at all you want to buy or you want to transact business, you have to come to the city center and go away. And I admit that that's the big challenge. But that's a bigger issue we need to handle.
I want to move to revaluation of properties in Accra. But before I go there, your answer to decongesting was have faith. It wasn't good enough.
Well, I haven't finished, because you have a lot of issues.
Okay. Let's do decongestion, then we'll go to revaluation.
So we started the decongestion on a very positive note. And the first phase of it is that we'll just be collecting the tables, the chairs, the block that they use to sell on the streets and the pavements of Accra. That's the first phase. And so far, that's what we have done, and we've been very successful. We are fully aware that over the years, after that exercise, and then they will try and forcibly come back again in a month or two. When you are coming back.
And normally the debris are never cleared. And your tenure, are you going to clear the debris that you brought?
Of course, we do. That's what we do. I mean, we have to collect the debris. I mean, we've been doing that for the past, and if the debris are on the street, I'm sure the cameras will capture it. We do collect the debris. And we did that over the weekend, Saturday, Sunday. I was on the field myself up to the following morning with everybody. We collected everything. And then, as I indicated, they will try to come back and sometimes to lure our people when they come. We will activate the next stage of our strategy by collecting their wares from them. And when you collect your wares from them, you have to pay a fine. And when you pay the fine, we'll give it back to you. If you're unable to pay the fine, we'll donate it to charity. As for the perishable goods, if we collect it, we send it to the psychiatric hospital, and we'll send it to charity. And I'm sure God will bless us for doing that. The third phase of the strategy that we may activate, and I'm hoping we will not get there, is to arrest and prosecute. And I'm talking about AMA bylaws.
How about engage and educate? Have you tried that?
I have tried. I said I have been engaging them for the past 4 months. They are fully aware of it. Probably I have not come yet, but I'm here today, and it's part of the engagement. So the third phase is the arrest and prosecution. And we will activate the AMA bylaw that we have, as well as the road.
But do you have enough markets for these numbers of people?
Let me finish and then respond to that. So we have the road traffic regulation LI 2180, which mandates the police to carry out this exercise even without recourse to us. Section 117 states clearly that the police should be in charge of the decongestion of our pedestrian walkways and as well as the street. It is not even the direct mandate of the assembly now, but it's also enshrined in our bylaw. So we are working in tandem with the police to ensure that we carry this exercise successfully, and that's what we are doing. The fourth phase that we may activate also is to arrest you, the buyer, and prosecute you, because once we also arrest you, we will also appreciate it. The law is very clear. It is not only the seller, but you, the buyer, you're also culpable and will also, take you on seriously. So people should not take us for granted that we don't even have a strategy. I have given you a 4-stage strategy and what we intend doing. We are fully aware that there will be drama.
You will sustain it.
That is the surest way of sustaining. Once people know, and I have told you that it's operation instilling discipline. We are creating a new order that once you are entering into the city center, you should know that.
Do you have the men?
We have the men.
Enough?
We may not have enough, but we have the men. And I think that is not only the men. We have the media also on our side. We have the general public on our side. And I'm sure that together we'll be able to. I trust the media. I haven't said I don't trust the media. But you asked a question about markets.
Yes. 5 minutes to do market, then we'll try evaluation.
We indeed have a lot of markets in Accra. All the major markets in the whole Greater Accra are within Accra. We have Mokola, we have Okanshi, we have Agbogboshi, we have Katamanton.
Should they be moved out? Do you think the major markets should now ready to leave Accra now? Go to the Oyari Fairs and probably...
I think that there are markets also outside Accra, but for some strange reason, there is some sentimental attachment to the markets in Accra. That surprisingly, there are things that you can get it at same price even outside Accra, but people still find a way to come to Accra center to buy wares and go back. For whatever reason, I don't know. But we have unique markets. The Agbogbloshie market is a foodstuff market. The Mokola market is they sell cloth and hardware. The Katamanto market is second-hand market. The Okanshi, which was new because used to be a residential area. Now people have sold their properties and turned into a market. It's also a hardware, and imported food. So our markets are quite unique. Today, you will find somebody or people that are selling shoes around Reach. They're completely unacceptable. You have moved from Katamanto and selling shoes at Reach. We can't continue to allow that. There should be some order in the city that as much as we want to survive, of course, I'm a local economic development planner. That's what I did. And I am very mindful of some of the decisions that I take, about the life of the people. But you need to balance it, and it's to ensure that there is order. Else we will not have a city that we are proud of. And we want to have a city that we are very proud of.
There's more questions, but more areas. So let me move to, since you're a development planner local, that one of the things that should really concern you is IGF raising money, because everything you are talking today is money.
Really?
And, you see properties in Accra, same price as property in New York, Dubai, in Accra, within your jurisdiction. And you go and see the property rates they are paying, and it's peanuts. So I'm asking, do you have a system in place to say, listen, you cannot build a $2.5 million house and then every year give me 200 cedis to say this is your property rate?
When I became the mayor, I realized that one of the bigger challenges that we have is about inflows. We don't get a lot of revenue, and when I probed further, I realized that our strategy for collection, and then we have also not expanded our revenue collection network, and also we are not also collecting the real rates that we're supposed to do. So I did a lot of work and I did a lot of consultation, and last month, or not somewhere in November, I engaged the land valuation division of that we want to revalue all our properties in Accra. So as I speak to you now, there's a contract between AMA and the land valuation division to value all the properties in Accra. But again, what informed us? By law, you are supposed to revalue our property every 5 years. The last time...
That's the law?
Yes. The last time the properties in Accra was revalued was in 2005 and 2006. So it's been about 12 to 13 years now. And within this space, the skyline of Accra has changed. Either 15 years ago, single-story building, 2-story building. Now you have 13 floors, 20 floors, 25 floors, 40 floors. So indeed, I agree with you that we are not collecting property rates that indeed reflects the actual rate that we're supposed to do, and that's what we are working on this time around to ensure that we collect the real rate from the property owners in Accra. Indeed, when they did a pilot, because prior to that, I wanted to understand and appreciate it.
Let me take a quick break here. I've just been whispered. Let me take a quick break so that we continue. So stay tuned. Don't go at all. We need to find out how much more the mayor can get. Well, thank you very much for staying, and we have in the house the man in charge of the metropolis of Accra, Mohammed Ajesowa, who's the mayor, and he has a huge task. Before the break, we're looking at revaluing properties in Accra and getting, proper money. That would make your assembly very rich. The state could come and borrow money from you.
Well, I hope so. In fact, I was saying that prior to even taking the decision, together with the land valuation division, we took 2 buildings in Accra, just 2 buildings in Accra. And I don't want to mention those buildings, but they are huge buildings. And they were paying something around 3,000 Ghana cedis. But after the property evaluation that we did, the pilot that we did, another zero added to it. So they're supposed to pay like 30,000. So difference of about 27,000, you know, that you could, just one, and many more of those that will come up. So we are quite serious with this, and because we know that this exercise that we are doing with the decongestion and waste management, all the things that we are talking about, you need the money to do it. In addition to that, if you go to the city center, for whatever service that the city, you know, renders to you, we issue tickets to you. I mean, you even question yourself the validity of the ticket, whether it's a good ticket or a fake ticket. You take it, and we've noticed a couple of things that people come to tell us all kinds of things. So you know that, you know, look, your inflows are not coming in as expected because we have estimated, and all kinds of things happens in this. So we just want to change the whole system. We've advertised, you know, somewhere in November for companies that are credible enough that can do the revenue collection on our behalf, which we are currently doing. There were major banks in this country that bid it. We shortlisted them, and then the shortlisted companies have also tendered their detailed proposal, and then we're working on it. Hopefully in the next couple of weeks we'll get credible and competent companies that will do the revenue collection on behalf of the city. Then you can trust that you are working in the right direction. We intend to change the city to be smart, sustainable, and resilient. And we cannot live in a digital age and not employ technology. So everybody who is going to issue tickets to you have to use the POS machine. So that once the POS machine issues the ticket to you, the POS machine indicates the type of service, the amount you are paid, your time, and where. It's quite detailed, so that in the event even there's a problem, you can even tender it as an evidence of what you have been done over there. So we are very mindful of the fact that we needed money to be able to run the city, and I have to do so.
I just got a message. He says, will the mayor do this, continue decongestion during election time?
By the time we get to the election time, we have created an order that there's discipline. So I'm not too sure we may even have to revert to the old order where people are selling, because as a going to be a continuous exercise, we are very far away from election time. So unless
clear during the goodwill era.
Maybe. I don't know, but maybe. I mean, that's my time. I have to work within my time. I can't wait till another time. I started last year, and I started with engagement. I have spoken a lot. I had engaged them, and there's an action year. I need to show results of all the engagement that I have done over the last year.
Well, we've gotten permission to carry on, so we had the mayor here. He's got lots to do. We have lots of questions, so I want to say thank you to Elvis Kwashi for giving us more time to talk to Mr. Mayor, and thank you too for accepting to stay with us a little. But Mr. Mayor, this is a big change. Even in advanced worlds where, you know, they are not generally follow the law, that people don't like change, and these are drastic changes. You think, you know, you can push this down our throats and we'll take it? Because I mean, these are big changes. I've been collecting my tickets, I print mine, and maybe I bring my 50, I bring your 50. Now you're going to tell me no more printing of tickets, take a POS machine, I sell on the pavement, no, I live by the railway, no, I park here, no.
Let me add by telling you that I mean, generally in life, human beings don't like change. Everybody wants to live in his comfort zone. But for a system to run and run efficiently, we must work within a certain environment where we are dictated by what the law says. That is the only way we can see results of the effort that we are putting in. I am mindful of the fact that there will be some people who would attempt to resist. But I can assure you that the law will also take its course.
When you say some people, everybody will resist. Everybody living by the railway line and everybody selling on the pavement, they will all resist. I mean,
Well, I don't know the kind of resistance you're talking about, because when the policeman is coming and you are resisting the force, I'm sure the policeman will also take action. It's not about me.
No, resist in the terms that, well, now he's on TV at 9 o'clock, let me go and start selling. You know, I'm here, he will come in the morning and go back.
For me, I'm going back to, look, last night around 11 p.m., I had parked around the circle roundabout, and I was observing what was going on over there, because our decongestion team left after 10:30. So I wanted to find out after 10:30, you know, will people come back? And if people will come back, what kind of people will come back? What do they do? You know. So I went there at around 11 o'clock to also do that. Personally, I'm a nocturnal person, so I spend a lot of time driving around town in the evenings just to see what is going on over there. And I'm saying that I'm leading the charge by myself, because I'm working for the president. The president has declared his intent, and it's my duty to make sure that the president's vision is realized. And the president's vision at the moment is what Ghanaians are looking for. I think that we should make a decision as city dwellers that we are choosing disorder, filth, as against discipline, order, and clean society. I believe that people will choose the latter, and I am on the side of the people that have chosen the latter.
Mayor, let me ask you, maybe a foolish question. Where should they go? I mean, these guys, you and I probably live in our mansions and have our cars, we are fine. They have, you know, a couple of cardboards, and there's nowhere to pitch camp. They can't live in cantonments, they can't live in Nansuman, they can't buy a plot. So the only way they have is, you know, somewhere near a railway station. You and your elitist and all Mr. Goody Goody says, look, leave here. So where should they go? They have to survive. They have to live.
Surprisingly, I wasn't born and bred in
East Legon in any mansion.
Not at all. I was born and bred at Bukum. My family is still at Bukum. I go to Bukum quite often because I like my kenke and my pepper all the time. So I'm part of the grassroots. I wasn't picked from anywhere. And I've lived in Accra throughout my life, what I have done. So I understand and I appreciate the system. And I know a lot of people across board. So, but your question about the fact that people will ask, you know, where should they go? I think it's a fair question. And you should also ask that, should everybody do whatever he wants to do because of the fact that he is a Ghanaian? He lives in. Let me give you an example about the Odora. 2 weeks ago, TV3 premiered an investigative documentary, and it was shocking that you would see people, young girls, 12 to 13-year-old, that have been lured, some from other West African countries, more than half of them, who are living there, and they are into commercial sex trade. Completely unacceptable. I think that we should also walk out from our studios and sometimes go to some of these places, and then you will appreciate why people are doing so. Either to the Ghana Railway Company was not functioning. It was almost defunct. Today, courtesy His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, by creating a dedicated ministry to revamp our railway sector. The railway ministry have set targets for themselves, and they want to start their Accra railway line. So we even had a discussion with the Ghana Railway Company that, look, on that stretch of land along the railway line belongs to you. It doesn't belong to us. It doesn't belong to AMA. So once we clear people, you need to guarantee us that you're going to protect your property, because this is not the first time we're going to demolish illegal structures in that area. So the Minister for Railway himself wrote a letter to me that he is fully in support of the decongestion exercise, and thereafter they are going to protect their property. And that we have taken his word. So I've gone ahead and then decongest the area, so they will protect their property, so that we'll live peacefully in this country.
Is it a reality, or this is on paper?
That
we can decongest and we can sustain?
We have to decongest and we have to sustain. I think that for those of us who have lived in Accra throughout our life, and I was once even an assembly member. I got appointed to the assembly between 2006 to 2009. So I'm very familiar with the assembly, and I've been also a student of local government administration. So I'm not new at all to the US. I know that sometimes, you get calls from politicians that will say that, oh, okay, we are doing our work. After we go to campaign, then you are supposed to come and decongest the place, and people say they will not vote for you. I do not think that the people of this country voted for us to come and allow them to create faith. I do not think that the people of this country voted for us to come and allow people to sell everywhere. I think that the good people of this country voted for us to come and transform this country.
See, but the reality is that in this country, maybe not you, but the majority, we hold our party higher than state. Why do I say that? With regards to things like galamsey, free education, this decongestion, I feel there are certain things where, the MPP, the NDC, probably the other small parties should sit together and issue one statement that whoever comes, this decongestion will go on. So that things like, I won't vote for you.
But have you listened to the former mayors?
No, not the former mayors. The mayors themselves, you guys, sometimes you are like an outside in. You are outside in. But you won't get like the NDC party coming out, or when Oko was clearing, you won't get the NPP coming out and say, listen, what Oko is doing, when we come, we are doing the same. Because the noise that, 4 years, but no,
why do you want us to split this country into
the country is already split?
I don't subscribe to that.
But that's the reality.
Let me tell you something. One of the reasons why I told you that,
and that's how come this. You see, that's how come this thing continues. Otherwise, Oko would have cleared it before you come.
Hang on a bit. I mean, that could be your reality. It's not my reality. Initially I told you that I wasn't too in tune with the media. Because everything is discussed along partisan lines. That is not the way I was trained. That is not my, my professional background. I had engaged a lot. I had worked with a lot of donor agencies, both local and international. That is not the way I was born. I am partisan because I belong to the New Patriotic Party. I belong to our philosophical orientation. That is what I believe in. But it doesn't mean that when somebody from the other side is doing something right, we will not commend it. That is why I am in support of the president nominee of this, the special prosecutor, because it shows that you have a statesman, somebody who is thinking above partisan and is thinking like a Ghanaian. Just last weekend, we celebrated our 25 years of democracy in the Fourth Republic. And all the former presidents were there in attendance. And each one of them said something positive. That is the direction we want to go. I will not allow the media person to pin me into a box of NDC and MPP. I don't do that. I have never participated in any radio discussion of NDC, MPP. There are people who do that, and that is fair enough. That is their right. And I believe in democracy because we all have to exchange our views. But when it comes to development, I think that when you go to the market and you are going to buy tomatoes, the tomato doesn't know MPP and it doesn't know NDC. Our focus is on development, and this show is not partisan. I want us to focus on the development issues.
You've already been in office since March unfair though, but to date, what would you say? Look, Nana, from March to this date, I put my hand on this thing and I think, look, I did good on that.
Well, there are a few things that I can share with you.
Yeah.
You know, because of the way we do our things in this country, people also want to see things that has a major impact. So, despite a lot of things that you have done, I think that the decongestion, when they say the decongestion, oh, that's a bold step. Even when I explained to you about the sanitation, things that we have done, that for me is a significant progress that we have made in my administration, far better than what we came to inherit. But you see, I'm not measuring my success against my predecessor.
No.
What happened? I'm measuring my success against the expectation of Ghanaians and the president, because the president remark is very bold, that he wants Accra to be the cleanest city by the end of his tenure. That is where you have to be working towards. So I am not loud on my achievements, because the president has set a higher standard, and I have to work towards beating it.
Now, you know, from the 7th dirtiest city to the cleanest city, I mean, bold step. I know we have to dream high, but how are you going to do that?
Well, I had explained to you, you know, the sanitation issues that we are handling. Indeed,
How about greening the city?
I'll talk about that one. Indeed, I have a three-pronged approach in handling the sanitation issues. One is education, two is provision of infrastructure and logistics, and the third one is enforcement. I've spoken a bit about education. I've spoken a bit also about provision of logistics and infrastructure, which I also admit that I could do better if I have the resource, but we are working hard towards it. And in terms of enforcement, that is also very key. You know, largely, I mean, our Sama, it's a bit defunct. So we came to revive it. We have activated it and we want to make sure that it is working. We have 3 sanitation courts in Accra, one at Abeka, one at Latebiokoshi, and one at which is in Ladma. And these sanitation courts are special courts that handle sanitation issues. We have another 2 magistrate courts, one at Ajabin and one at Community Center. I've renovated and refurbished the one at Ajabin, and I'm doing the same also for the one at Community Center. They are magistrate courts, but they also give special attention to sanitation-related issues. And I can give you statistics of the number of people that will prosecute every week in these courts for sanitation-related matters, and how, you know, how much the offenses, you know, the penalties that are given to them at the courts. So on the enforcement bit, we are also doing very well. But again, I think that we can do better, because that's just the beginning, and we need to talk a little bit about some of the things that we are doing. But in the end, after all these that you are doing, then you come to the beautification.
Mm-hmm. There are too many signboards in Accra.
Thank you. I'll talk about that one before I come to the beautification. We've issued a press statement yesterday, the AMA in collaboration with EAG, that we want to declutter the city. In fact, again, when I came to office, my thinking was that in the advertising and marketing industry, they should contribute rather to the beautification of the city. Unfortunately, they create the ugly signs that you see around the city. So I decided to draft a policy guideline which focuses on the permit procedures, standards, specifications, and the legal framework. And we shared it to many institutions, including the Institute of Engineers, Ghana Standard Authority, Urban Roads, all of them, to make an input into it. In the end, we validated it with all of them, their presidents, and even invited a lot of the assemblies. Kumasi came, Takrady, a lot of them came to Accra for the validation although it's our initiative, it is something that I personally working on. But because we want to ensure standards so that the players involved, when you are here and you have a permit procedure, you go to Ladma, they have a different procedure, you go to Medina, they have a different procedure. So we want to standardize it, not have control over everybody. But I solicited their views to get their buy-in so that we have a standard across board. Fortunately, we have agreed to that. So the AAG and everybody had agreed to that. This is the way we want to go about it. And then you could see people mounting all kinds of billboards. One of the things the billboards that is not even the cluttering, but safety of pedestrians and motorists as well, which we are very much concerned about. So on the 18th of this month, we are mounting an operation decluttering the city. All illegal billboards are coming down, and we have issued a press statement yesterday on that. I said this year is an action year, so everybody who is doing something illegal should be on the lookout, that the law will catch up with you.
On the 18th?
On the 18th of this month.
All illegal billboards coming down?
Are coming down in Accra. We are launching that operation. And
the small ones, big ones, whatever.
Indeed. I want to use your platform to caution especially the investors. You drive around town, Legon Mature University, Knutsford, Wisconsin, all of them. Banners all over the city. If they are not careful, by on the 18th, we will not just go around and remove them. Because I had gone around to remove them on 2 occasions. And once you remove them, then they bring more. They should be on the watch out that it will face me in court if by after on the 18th they still mount their banners around town without our permit. And along the
political parties are also quite guilty with all their posters. Even though they've lost the elections, they still have posters all over.
Oh, I do remove. In fact, for instance, on these caprides, the John Kufuor Highway, I personally went around and removed all. So I had removed them. Drive around town, you will see that the political party billboards are not in town. But what you see, because once you remove them, they are off political system. They don't even bring it. But those who are advertising for lose weight, 7 days, you have to be a man, to do the thing and all. I'm cautioning all of them. We'll call you and trace you where you are, arrest you, and take you to court. So they should stop, defacing the city. And let us have a very beautiful
no messing
city
in your city.
I'm telling you that I'm creating a new order where there will be discipline.
A democratic Salifo Mankwa.
Maybe.
So you won't be disciplined at Circle, but you'll be hauled to court. Salifu will discipline you at Circle, you will hold them to court.
Oh, there are occasions. You see, the discipline comes in different forms.
Different ways, in different forms.
It could be discipline in a way.
May I suggest something? That on your big highways, maybe you give it to 2-3 companies that look, you own the street, you green it, you put things there, and you have priority of putting your signs on there, so that some of them becomes not your problem.
Now, let me tell you something else. After the decluttering, we've identified 4 major areas where it will be strictly managed. Bus stops, roundabouts, our medians, and then our interchanges. These 4 areas have to be managed differently because there are locations where we want to start our beautification. In fact, hopefully by next month we'll launch an Accra Beautification project. I have a concept and I have finished with it. It's just that I don't have the full money because I don't like talking when I have not done anything. So when people talk, sometimes I listen. I have few banks that have already committed money to the Accra Beautification. I have made presentation to many banks. I don't want to mention. I called all the banks in Accra. We met at Movenpick, and then some of them had made commitments, financial commitment to the project because it's a huge budget. We are still looking for more money. Once we get it, hopefully by next month or by the end of this month, we're going to launch the Accra Beautification, because we cannot just decongest and also leave. There's a plan to follow. All open spaces have to be green. We do proper landscaping and within the city center. And I'm sure you will have a very beautiful city. We cannot just decongest the city and then wherever you pass is still the way it is. That cannot be.
My worry is that you have good intentions, but you're not selling it to us to buy into it. Maybe because certain media houses may not contact you and go and write something, and so you say, you know what, forget it, I'm just going to do my thing. But we need, like how we all bought into the galamsey and said, no galamsey, no galamsey. I think for about 2 weeks we were here saying, I mean, every guest we had, we're doing a different angle of galamsey. If we don't buy it, so that every guest I get, I'm talking about cleanliness, not that you feel, but your job may be too difficult.
I appreciate your concern, and I thank you for this advice. But the point also is that, you see, you are engaging a public that are very pessimistic about some of the things, not because they don't want you to succeed, but because of past experience. So I'm careful in saying too many things that you haven't rolled out. There are plans. So for instance, the Accra Beautification thing, I don't want to mention the banks that have committed their part of their money to it. I want you to see the action on the ground. The whole of Tetekwashi interchange area, that's one company that has committed to do the landscaping over there, and will soon cut the sort for work to be done over there. So there's a lot that we are doing. We've spent the past couple of months thinking through and engaging and making sure that once you go into the kitchen, you prepare a good meal and come and sell it to your people, and I'm sure they will buy into it.
The open defecation.
Wow. And
I just got a message from Mr. E.D. Manfo. He sent a picture somewhere along the Ring Road, Nima Gata, with some open defecation. And he says that even General Ankara was complaining that from his house he could see. So, I mean, that's how far back this issue has gone on. You look at Alaju and stuff like that. Are all part of your... Or there's certain things I say, look, Nana, I can work up to here, and whoever comes should go and continue?
Well, I think that it's part of the Accra Beautification and instilling discipline in our society. We have a facility at the Accra Metropolitan Assembly where we want to make sure that every household has a toilet. And the cost of the toilet originally is 4,000. You pay 2,000 Ghana cedis, and we pay 2,000 Ghana cedis for you. We intensify our campaign and also try to enforce the law. So when we went to one area, we also realized that, look, a lot of people had willing to get, but the number of contractors that we have to supply do not have the capacity to meet the demand. So as I speak to you, we now engage big companies, contractors. Atachi is on board now. This is a company that is doing the Marine Drive project. You know, big companies that are coming on board to help us. And what is interesting is that on the 16th, you know, this is the news that we gave it to you. On the 16th, we are reducing the 2,000 Ghana cedis that you're supposed to pay to 2,100. So we don't want even the household beneficiaries to even pay 2,000. We're going to pay 1,100 Ghana cedis.
Give us the 100. Let's pay 1,000.
And even with the 1,000, even with the 1,100, if you pay 100 Ghana to start, we'll start building.
No, you have to repeat it, because this is news flash. So instead of paying 2,000 cedis as the residential contribution, yes, you pay 1,100. And if they put a down payment of 100,
we'll start building.
We'll start building.
Yes.
So every house, nobody has an excuse now.
You don't have an excuse.
But are there any like tight spaces in every house that can squeeze in a?
You have to create it. And they are not big, you know, they are cubicles. You have to create it.
1,100.
Of course. I mean,
You
there
put
should be some.
And then how long do I spread the 1,000 over?
You spread it over a period. It's fairly reasonable.
Very reasonable.
Fairly reasonable. In fact, with it, we even have another company that are coming that also wants to also engage their beneficiaries that, okay, we would like to pay for you, and then you spread it over a period of time so that we can also collect the money from the household, and that is also easy for us as well.
What would you want to be remembered for? Come 4 years, come 8 years, however long that you serve, what's the 1, 2, 3 things that, look, if you think of Mohammed Ajay-Sowa, you say, look, I was a legacy hunter, this is what I want you, this is a legacy I wanted you to remember.
Well, I want to be remembered as a young mayor who came, break all the rules, start everything afresh to create an order of discipline in our society. I want also to be remembered as someone who also introduced beautification in terms of greening, landscaping, and having a smarter crowd.
Ladies and gentlemen, your mayor. Well, Mr. Mayor, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure.
Yes. And it's an honor, my viewers. And we forgot to find you. We have a fine for first time, on the show. I'm Banta Munsa. Like you go to the palace, if you're late, you have to find him. Since it was your first time, but we're privileged to have him, so we'll waive the fine.
I'm sure you know that I'll find you. I can pay the fine, but I'll get you. I don't have to get you.
Since I live in Accra. Well, folks, we'll be back to do this all over again, but that was your mayor. Big dreams, big visions, but most importantly, we should all buy into it. We should all buy into it. That's the most important thing. And gradually we'll try and win him over. So as he's working on the beautification, what are the plans? And what should you and I do to make it a success? We'll try and do that. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you for coming, sir.
Thank you very much once again. Thank you.